So this is some really interesting data from Financial Times. Excuse me. Jim Picard says, millennials aren't getting more right-wing as they age. Fascinating statistics. So here, let me click this graph for you. I'll give you guys a better look at it. I don't know if this is a better look. It's actually probably a worse look. But anyway, you can see the chart here. They have what they call a national average for ideology. And as boomers got older, as the silent generation got older, and even as Gen X got older, they've become more and more conservative. Here you have Republican vote share by age within each generation relative to national average. So silent generation has gotten way more conservative. By the way, it's going to be annoying when they start bitching that Social Security and Medicare was cut, given that they're voting for the people who are going to destroy Social Security and Medicare. Boomers gone up, Gen X going up as well. Millennials have, if anything, gone in the other direction. So millennials are not, because there's an old adage, right? How does it go? If you're not a liberal when you're young, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative when you're old, you have no brain. Of course, that's, a right-winger came up with that. And that's how they conceptualize the world. Like, oh, young people mean well, but they're idiots. And so when they want to help people, how dumb to help people. You should be an asshole to people. And so the idea was, and data for a long time bore this out, that the older you get, the more conservative you get. Because you sort of, I guess the argument is, you sort of can make a lane for yourself in the world. And since you've made a lane for yourself, you've sort of made peace with the system as it is. And so then you have a vested interest in defending that system, in keeping that system and the status quo the same or relatively similar. But here's the thing, and this is why this conversation about millennials is interesting to me. Millennials don't have a piece of the pie. And for Gen Z, too, forget it, right? Like the Zoomers are going to have just issues that are just as bad, if not worse, than the millennials. We've seen those charts, right? I didn't pull one up for the purposes of this talk here, but you have boomers hold like some ridiculous percentage of the national wealth. I think it's like 60+%. And millennials, it's like less than 10%. And yeah, when you're in a situation where you're sort of fucked, you're treading water, you realize the system is bullshit, you're generally going to have the disposition of, we should change this system for the better. That's going to be your take. Your take is going to be, well, this shit ain't working, so we got to do something. So you're not going to want to defend hierarchy because you think the hierarchy is bullshit. You're not going to want to defend tradition because you think the tradition is bullshit. You're going to say, no, I'm in favor of change. And in many instances, radical change. And so, yeah, when you have a generation that doesn't have the same opportunities as the previous generation. And by the way, nobody argues against that, right? Nobody says, actually, yeah, you do. You do have the same opportunities as the previous generation. There was data that came out on what they call social mobility, which is economic mobility. And what they learned is the American dream is more alive and well in Canada than it is in America. So it's much harder now than it was for, our parents' generation to climb the economic ladder. Some people just can't conceive of ever buying a home and a car, paying a mortgage. People are fucked, man. This gig economy is trash. You see, wages have effectively been stagnant since the 1980s. So we're moving in the wrong direction. What this neoliberal corporate era has given us is a system that's biased in favor of the wealthy and well-connected, the billionaires and corporations, the executives. And, you have skyrocketing income and wealth inequality. This is all borne out by all of the facts. And so, of course, that younger generation is going to say, for the love of God, you get, one thing that you guys could do to help us out is eliminate student loan debt, right? Joe Biden reduced some of it, and Democrats got rewarded in the midterms. And Democrats did way better in the midterms than anybody thought. Why? Because it was a little bit of help. A little bit of help to working, generally young people, but even some older people. And, and now the court's going to block that. It looks like they're about to block that. And so, yeah, people can't get a fucking break. Their politics is based around, hey, I don't have a fair shot. This isn't a meritocracy. And so for the love of God, give me a fair shot. Let's make it more of a meritocracy. You got to get this fucking crazy student loan debt off of my back. I can't fucking afford it. So, yeah, look, the younger generation, it sucks that the reason why they lean more left is because they're struggling, but it is good that they lean left. Because the mentality of the older generations is apparently, hey, I got mine, so fuck off for you. As long as I got mine, I'm going to walk over the bridge and then burn it behind me. That's apparently their mindset. I would like to think that, no matter what, reasonable, rational, intelligent, sympathetic, empathetic people can look at others struggling and say, let's try to ameliorate that a little bit. The older generations do not believe so. So anyway, we'll see what happens with Zoomers eventually with this stuff, but millennials are not becoming more conservative. If anything, they're going further left. I think that's a good thing. Now it's just a matter of actually forcing change, which is very difficult in a system as corrupt as ours. But, the way the current system is going, it feels like it can't hold because it's not secure, man. It is not stabilized. It is, and you're seeing that bubbling up time and time again, whether it's Brexit in the UK or Trump getting elected here. People are either going to turn far right or far left, and let's hope they choose the better one of those two options. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.